Welcome to the automation course. In today's tutorial, we're going to look at sequential function charts. So according to the IEC 61131 standard, there are 5 programming languages to program a PLC. So there's ladder, function block, sequential function chart, structured text, and instruction list. We've already covered the ladder diagram. We've done function block diagram, for example, with the timer block, and now we're going to work on sequential function charts. The sequential function chart is composed of steps, actions, transitions. So this is based on a standard called GraphSet, IEC 848, and we're going to look at that. So when we have, this is a transition, this is an OR, this is an AND. This is a typical SFC. So in each SFC, we can translate it to a PLC. So for example, when we have a step, so this would be, so in each step, it would be represented by 2 rungs. Here is the previous step, the transition, current step. This is the current step and action. So if we look at here, so we know that the current step, the previous step is 1. The transition is start T1 in order to get to S2. The current step is S2. This current step is S2. And the action that occurs is set valve V1 open. So we can take a SFC, design an SFC, and then convert it into a PLC ladder. When we're looking at SFCs, so when we have discrete control systems, what we're doing is we're using logic control and or NOR. When we have sequential control, what we do is we use SFCs in order to obtain the PLC ladder. So let's take an example. Our example is we have a red pilot light, we have a start and stop button. So when I press on the start button, it latches, the red light goes on for 10 seconds, then the red light goes off for 5 seconds, and the sequence continues until I press the stop push button. This is, we say File, New Project. I'm going to type in SFC. And here, what I'm going to do is instead of choosing ladder, I'm going to choose SFC. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click on PLC program. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rename this one here, PLC program. I'm just going to come over here, right click, refactor, rename, and I'm just going to call this SFC. And that'll be okay. So let's start off. I have the init. So I have the init, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I need to be able to put in variables here. So in my program here, I'm going to come over here and type in step 1 colon SFC step type. And I'm going to put, because I need 6 steps, I'm going to go put 6 steps for this. So this is my local variables. What I also want to do over here is I want to add global variables. So I'm going to come to application, right click, add object, and I'm going to put global variable list. GVL is for global variable list. This is okay. And in my global variable list, I'm going to define all the IO. So I'm going to put in start PB, and this will be Boolean. Same thing, I'm going to put stop PB. This is Boolean, and I'm going to put this to true because I need to make this a normally closed contact. Latch Boolean. Next, I'm going to put in I'm going to put in the pilot light. So this is red LT, and this will also be called Boolean. So these are my global variables. These are variables that are local to the SFC. These are global variables that can be used for the PLC ladder or the SFC. So let's continue over here. I start off and I have my init. The first thing I'm going to check for the start push button. So it'll be GVL. Let me just build this and see if there are any errors. So I have zero errors, so now I can continue. So here, what I want to do is I want to type in GVL, and I'm going to put in the start push button. So as soon as I hit the start push button and it's true, what I want to do is go to the next step. So I come over here, I say step, and I drag it into this. Here is step number 1. In step number 1, what I want to do is I want to have an action, and my action will be to set the latch. So I need an action here, and I'm going to drag it here. And I'm going to say S for set, and the latch that I'm going to put in is GVL dot, and I'm going to put in the latch. So I need, the next thing is step number 1. I need another transition. So after each step you need a transition. So I'm going to put a transition, and the transition here is GVL dot latch. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another step. Step number 2. In step number 2, I'm not going to take any action. Then I go to step number 3. Actually, I need a transition before I go to step number 3. In this one here, what I need to do is I need to look at the stop to see whether it's true or false. So it's GVL dot stop PB, and this one I'm going to say I'm going to look for if it's true. So I come over here, I press the start button, it enables the latch. This latch variable will then come over here and look for two things. It'll look for the stop push button, whether it's true, meaning it has not been pressed. And then what I want to do is I want to create a branch. And here what I want to do is I want to put in gvl dot stop pb equals to false. And what I need is, if it's false, I don't want it going back into the program. I want to create a jump. And my jump will take it to back to init. Let me just do that again. So before it goes to a jump, I actually need a transition. And the transition, if I'm not checking for anything, I just have to put true. So once it's true, I need an action here. If the stop push button has been pressed, I want it to be step number 6 in this case. If the push button has been pressed, I want to reset the latch. Finally, so what I've done is I've checked, has the start push button been pressed? I want to latch it. Once it's latched, I'm going to check for the status of the stop button. If it's been pressed, I want to reset the latch. If not, we continue, meaning the program is valid. I'm going to put in a step. So in this step, the action that I want to take, so once I have press the push button, I want an action. And the action that I want to take is I want to set the red light on. And I also want to set the timer, and the way to do that is I add a transition, and here I specify the timer. So step number 3 dot T. The transition will happen when T number sign 10 seconds. So the timer has been started, and now I'm waiting for 10 seconds to elapse. I'm going to add another transition here. Here is step number 4. In step 4, I'm going to reset the turn off the red pilot light. So I need an action. It'll be R. I need to type in gvl dot red LT. So in step number 4, next what I want to do is I want to start a timer, and the way to do it with this software is step number 4 dot T greater than T number sign 5 seconds. I'm just going to bring this up so you can see the whole thing. So I've turned on the red light, the timer has started. Next I'm waiting for the expiry. It comes here, it turns off the red light. There's a new timer, actually this should be a transition. This should be step 4 dot T greater than T number sign 5 seconds. Next, I need to add another step. I need step number 5. So the timer has expired. It comes to step number 5. And what I want to do here is I'm going to put in a transition. I'm going to make this to true because I'm not checking for anything. And then over here for the jump, I want to go back and check at step number 2. I'm going to go back and check to see if the latch is still on. So let's try compiling this, seeing if it builds properly. So it looks like it has built properly, this SFC. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to build an HMI so that it's easier to look at. We're going to come